What is up, YouTube? This is T1 coming at you with another video, and it's that time of the month again. That sounded bad. By which I mean it's time for me to talk about a season of Smallville. This time it's season 4. Before I get into it, though, here's a quick recap of my thoughts on the previous 3 seasons. Season 1 was meh, Season 2 was pretty good, and Season 3 was excellent. If you recall, I actually said I don't think the show ever got better than Season 3. Conversely, I don't think the show ever got worse than Season 4. Yeah, this is a huge step backwards, but there are some positives here. First of all, the action scenes are still pretty good. While the bad effects do hold it back from being breathtaking, there are some pretty memorable sequences peppered throughout the season. It's also very well directed still. The set pieces are more interesting than the previous seasons. The use of color is a lot more believable here. It does have a very comic book nature to it in ways that the previous 3 didn't have. And it has a much more fun tone than Season 3, although in some cases that's a negative as a lot of the cheesiness of Season 1 is back. The biggest positives, though, are once again the Luther family. In the beginning of the season in particular, Lionel's in prison, and it's a really interesting dynamic for him not to be in complete control of the situation he's in. I mean, he even gets freaking shanked at one point. Although, one of the flaws I gotta say is the stakes of Season 3 really aren't here. By the end of Season 3, there was this huge finale where a bunch of game-changing stuff happened, and by like episode 7 or 8, it's all back to the status quo. Lionel's back out of prison, Lex is okay, even Chloe turned out to be alive, and that was just kind of stupid to me. Lex is also absolutely incredible. The season, they introduce another key part of his character, and that is how driven he is. He really begins developing an obsession this season. And if you know anything about Lex from the comics, you know that's a big part of his personality. And there are some pretty sweet episodes, I must say. Transference was really good, so was Onyx, Bound, and the finale Commencement, but this show always has awesome finales. Those come to mind, but there are one or two others. On the whole, though, this season has a lot more weak episodes, especially when compared to Season 3. But let's get into the negatives, and sadly there are quite a few of those. Cons is that the show is just a lot more cheesy now, and it seems like a huge tonal shift from the darkness of Season 3. Now, I'm fine with it going in a lighter direction, but it should have been subtle changes throughout the season instead of just all of a sudden going to Adam West levels of campiness. That just didn't work. And honestly, very few of the characters have interesting arcs this season. The one that suffered the most, though, was Alana, who already, I'm going to be honest, is wearing out her welcome at this point. Her story arc has two components to it. One of it is a carbon copy of her Season 3 arc. I'm completely serious. It begins with her meeting a boy who turns out to be a villain. I mean, it's like seriously beat for beat the same. And the other element of her story is about her getting possessed by a witch, which honestly is just really bizarre, and it feels out of place even for Superman. They also introduced Lois Lane this season. While, yes, she got better in subsequent years, here, she just got on my nerves. Granted, that's how Clark feels too, and it makes sense that when they first meet they wouldn't like each other, but he just rubbed me the wrong way. And the dialogue, good God, I've never cringed as much in any of the other seasons. It's not just Lois, but they introduce a couple of characters that I just don't think are done very well. Like Mixie's Pinnacle, what the hell was this? And there's way, way too much high school bullshit. It sucked in the other seasons, but it is cranked up to 11 here. And the one that suffered the most was Clark. Joining the football team? Seriously? Debating the pros of abstinence? Is that really what I want to see in a fucking Superman show? No, they bring up all this shit that, like, it just feels so out of place, and it had no business being in here. Maybe in another show it could have worked, but good God, they did not have the chops to pull this off. Yeah, this high school crap though really bogged down the season more than the previous 3. The fucking prom is a big part of this season. As I said, they debate whether or not abstinence is a good thing, and like in a Superman show, yeah, his girlfriend's like mentally unstable too, and I'm like, maybe that could have worked in Season 3, but not here. All in all, Season 4 is just a mess. It's boring in places, cheesy in others, and it never comes together into a satisfying puzzle in the way that Season 3 did. It just doesn't work. So I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. This is T1, signing out.